Welcome back, Druid lovers. We perfected the Pulverize Puddle Splasher and also found a trick to maximize our damage. Finally taking down that elusive Pit 100 this season, while also pooping on any other piece of content. Before we now start with a trick to maximize your damage, how does the Pulverize Puddle Splasher actually work? The build is all about the Rotting Lightbringer, dropped by Varshan and Urivar, by the way. If no puddle is around you, Pulverize forms a poison puddle that guarantees its own overpower and deals 600% of its normal damage as poisoning. Okay, this pretty much means you do an overpowered Pulverize hit, and this one leads to a massive poisonous pool. Pulverizing causes all closed puddles to splash 60% of their total damage within their areas and around them. And that's where the crazy damage comes from. You're gonna hit the ground, make a puddle, step a step further, then you're not close in melee range anymore, hit again and make another puddle, and you do this in a triangle, creating puddles that then splash out these poison droplets that are guaranteed to overpower for 60% of that 600% damage out of a super overpowered Pulverize. And if you then actually hit a 50 billion hit, for example, all of the droplets are also super high billions. So as soon as you see one big number, 30, 40, 50, 80 billion, it's at least 2, 3, 400 billion of damage because of all the puddles going out. And this leads us to our trick to maximize damage. Pulverize happens in front of you. Okay, we make a poison pool, and then we pulverize around the poison pool to splash the poison out. The problem is, if we go too far away here, there's no poison coming out of these two anymore, right? Only the pool that's close to me. So if I go there now, and I step a bit further away, I only splash this pool. I don't splash both pools, right? Now we do have something called the aspect of shockwave. Pulverize creates a shockwave that travels forward. That shockwave is technically not pulverized anymore. But what happens is, if I now make a poison pool here, there, and there, step away, my pulverizes still splash the pools. Yep, that shockwave traveling through. Let's make a single pool again. From back here, it triggers the poison. And that's crazy for your pit gameplay, because you're gonna walk through the pit and keep walking while you make pools and shockwave behind you. And the pools you keep making keep spewing out poison, and the whole dungeon trails you and keeps taking these massive billions of damage, and you just make new pools, poison droplets, and that travel for the shockwave is quite extensive. Now the crazy part is we had to take away a high damaging aspect. This is now the pulverized shockwave aspect, and it would usually be the aspect of retaliation for another 73% damage multiplier. And yet, with the pulverized aspect and the damage distant travel trick, we're more powerful. Good, now you understood how the Pulverized Puddle Splasher works. The problem the build has is a little bit survival, because either we're going to heavily invest into Barrier, or we're going to go into damage reduction and somewhat kinda healish. As well as we have to continuously make sure that our spirit is filled up for maximum bonus damage from the Quox rune. Let's first tackle the spirit problem, that we have spirit always filled up. For this we have two layers. First, our boots are running spirit per second as a greater affix. Then we also have gift of the stack, so that's already 20 spirit per second. Kinda nifty, not going to complain. But you're also playing the Quox rune. Casting a defensive skill other than a basic skill would consume all your resource to do 100% more damage per second. So all your poison pools splashing out, more damage. We activate this over a who, so up to 100% chance against non-healthy enemies to make offering. And the interesting part is that all your poison puddles that you're making, they are lucky hitting too. The real way to keep our spirit up will be energize. Lucky hit dealing damage has up to a 15% chance to fully restore spirit. Our lucky hit chance on the Pulverize is only 46%. That means 46, 15%, only a 6.9 chance to restore full resource. But if you look at my resource globe of me now fighting a boss and spamming away, so that was Quox depleting everything, right? And now we're there, it's back up again from the lucky hit chance. Cool. and then it gets depleted from the Ahu again, and it's back up. So the Ahu works, the actual Quox works. That's nice. Double trigger. And if you're doing this now while you're playing through the pit, it's even more efficient because there are more targets. There are more targets to hit with the Ahu. There are more targets to lucky hit for spirit restoration. And you end up with always full spirit, but over triggering the Ahu like root, and you're getting the 100% more damage, 100% more damage. The more enemies there are there, the more enemies with more HP, the more chance you have to trigger this. And in order to amplify this even further, we play the Neo Cry. Neo says, I don't take damage, I get 200 offering, and after 4 seconds, we'll pull everyone together with a Spiritborn Vortex. Now this tech is very useful for farming. So when I do pit 80s, 90s to push my glyphs further upwards, Cry is amazing. Because you walk into a room, everything gets pulled together, splash, splash, dat. Later, when we're doing pit 100, I would rather go for the Ohm Room from the Barbarian Warcry to actually get more damage. Because I am walking through the pit 100 and everything follows me anyways, that I don't actually need Cry. What else are we doing for survival? We got here the damage reduction from Iron Fur, and also our first source of overpower every 10 seconds. Then we're getting the non-physical resistance, and we have our debilitating roar give us more damage. We're not going to go for any kind of heal here, it's not worth it. It would be 4 seconds of heal without a temper, no. We get more damage and also more damage against distant enemy, works really well, plus trample for traveling, more life, and our next source of overpower. What changed in the bottom left tree is we took away the damage reduction here. It was only 9% damage reduction. I mean, compare this up, that is 32% damage reduction, right? What we did is we put 3 points into resonance. It's another 6% more damage. I like that. But also Circle of Life for that little 431 heal whenever we use a skill that consumes spirit. It's a little thing, yet though it helps us tremendously to stay alive. You pair this together with the Arcana Bottled Wind and Disintegrate. The Bottled Wind barrier allows us to waltz into enemies and have Neo trigger to then pull enemies together. And then every 5.3 seconds, or actually with a slight cooldown delay, on a Horadric Jewel, 4 seconds, we continuously have at least a little barrier, as we're also doing vulnerable over our Arcana and we execute the enemies while being poison infused. Now, how do we max our damage out crazy? First, you want a Rotten Lightbringer with a chance for Pulverize to hit twice, because if you hit twice, you splash twice. You need 600%. What I'm missing is willpower at a max, so it's 31 out of 43 possible percent. That's 12% willpower missing. That would be crazy good to have. As a greater affix, even better. Then, Starless Skies. Ignore the 4 greater affixes. The main thing you want is the ranks to core skills. You could triple masterwork that for another rank more. Every rank into a core skill for our Pulverize is 15% more damage. Right now we're at 665%. Without the Ring of Starless Skies, it's 560%. That's huge. That's a 100% bonus from our ring. This is why you want gloves also with ranks to pulverize, and the shockwave aspect with attack speed and willpower with pulverize size and then overpowered damage. We're not going for earth critical strike chance as we're sitting at 100% crit chance with a Ring of Starless Skies and our helmet. Here you masterwork pulverize and you could get another rank bonus, right? This is 665, so without the gloves, 542. The bonus damage is incredible from that pulverize together. And our next 2 sources of bonus ranks are the Hair of Perdition. Again, another 6 ranks. That could be 7 if you hit the triple masterwork with a huge amount of critical strike chance. And that is 60% damage multiplier. And another 160% bonus damage from the Hair of Perdition alone. Lastly, our chest piece could be the Shroud. But we choose to stay with the Insatiable Fury for the next 5 ranks to Werebear skills. The Urzen Strength bonus, our key passive. And then also Iron Fur for the damage reduction. Greater Affix Iron Fur would be here incredibly nice. To boost this even further, that would be like 7 ranks, I think, even more damage reduction. For the pans, we're rocking T-Bold's Will. That is a continuous 20% bonus damage as we run Grisly Rage, and Grisly Rage is always up. A greater affix to the all stats and damage reduction while unstoppable would be incredible. I get maximum resource, it is what it is. On the boots, we talked about it. We have the spirit per second, maximum life and armor, then movement speed, pulverize size, and pulverize is also an earth skill. That is important so Pulverize gets the bonuses in your skill tree with Crushing Earth and Stone Guard. On the amulet, greater affix willpower, greater affix and venom, those would be absolutely killer. And venom granting us a huge bonus critical strike damage to poison enemies, and our enemies are always poisoned. Then we have the Grizzly Rage cooldown reduction, which is not 100% needed, but I currently have 19 seconds Grizzly Rage with 26.12 seconds cooldown, and I extend the duration by 5 seconds by overpowering bosses, which you always do. The aspect is, while Grizzly Rage is active, your direct damage is converted into poison damage, and this forced us to change things in the Paragon board. On the ring, lastly, we have the Grizzly Rage duration extended, and the Grizzly Rage gives us 100% bonus crit. Here we would want to have a greater affix to attack speed. The critical strike chance is fantastic together with maximum life. The critical strike chance could also be resistance to all elements. As your merc, it's very important to play here with the resistance to all elements. Right now I'm sitting at 66% with 70 and 81. That's already with an incense. My armor is maxed out with an incense as well, so that's quite fantastic. I could get even more elemental resistance from the Paragon board, but I choose to go for more damage instead. I'll show you how to be more survivally though with the Paragon board. My jewels were quite tricky for this build. First, 20% more elemental damage and take 10% more. Pulverize's nature magic counts as elemental damage, and for some reason the poison damage also counts as elemental damage. Then we get the idol from below, 6 and 6% core stat. Makes you stronger. For the last one, we didn't really have a fitting one. More damage reduction, more elemental resistance, movement speed, crit, all these were not needed. More physical damage doesn't do anything because we're actually doing only poison damage. What did help though is the Luminate Eye for catalytic skills gain cooldown reduction. And this reduces the disintegrate from 5.3, 25% to get me more bottle wind uptime and overall just make me more tanky. Give it a try and tell me how it went for you. The first glyph we're choosing is Headhunter. You have that huge multiplier from the Rotten Lightbringer on willpower and the amulet that you kind of want to get more willpower or as much willpower as possible. Then we're moving into the Ancestral Guidance board. It was important to get the resistance to elements, the resource generation and maximum life, and then the Dominate glyph and max it out for the bonus overpower damage. If you max it out, you have a really easy collection to the right side and to the left side to go out. We'll get the Earth and Devastation board for that huge damage multiplier with a good source of resistance and down here damage reduction. This node for armored maximum life is too far away. We're not going to take this. But up here we can take bonus critical strike damage. Then you also have the Earth and Sky glyph that gives your nature skills more damage against crowd controlled or vulnerable enemies. And our enemies are always vulnerable, so very good. This gets us to the left side on the Ancestral Guidance board with Survival Instinct and bonus damage reduction while fortified. We're more or less always fortified. Into the Keeper glyph. You and your companions deal 15% increased non-physical damage. And all our damage is poison damage due to the aspect on our amulet. So non-physical damage is king. Here we gain a lot of total armor. Technically, I could take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points and use these 7 points to potentially leave the board here on the side or to go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could save 1 point to get out on this side, have 1 more point to spend. That leads us into the Heightened Malice board. Here in the Heightened Malice board, I'm currently maxing out the Spirit, so I'm actually missing 1, 2, 1, 2 Dexterity. Could weasel this out of the willpower, but I don't want to. Here's more bonus maximum life. Could shift some nodes to actually acquire more intelligence if I go 1, 2, 3, right? To make sure that we actually get the life bonus here. Then we get the Spirit glyph for that dexterity. And right here would be another resistance to all elements with a few more dexterity nodes taken. So it's not harsh to actually swap a doodle some more things around. Now that elemental resistance would definitely make me tankier. It's also not needed. I get by. And I will inevitably get there with more Paragon points. I'm sitting at 245 Paragon points right now. If I get to 260, well, I can get even more dexterity. I can get even more resistance. I will even more be surviving. Now, in order to push further, to go like Pit 1.5, 110, 115, triple Masterwork core skills, triple Masterwork Pulverize, triple Masterwork core skills, triple Masterwork Envenom, and greater affix. Quad greater affix Rotten Lightbringer with 600%, right? Or at least double greater affix, willpower, and chance to pulverize. We need the triple Masterwork on Urzen Strength bonus, and preferable Iron Fur also as a greater affix. 20% on this one. There's still small, meaningful steps to take that will just get us further. And we can still level up our glyphs as well. That's 72, 82, 82, 82, 84. We don't even have them all to 90. There is tons of damage to squeeze out to go even further. But we're already feeling fantastic, and I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight how to actually max out and scale out a build. You're now looking for all the other builds this season that are performing and why they're performing, how they're performing. Enjoy. Have a fantastic good day.